Welcome to A Double
and
Dice
with your hosts Kim
and Jocelyn.
Pour your favorite beverage.
Pull up a comfy chair.
Because we are ready to roll.
Welcome to episode 3 of A Double and Dice. And today, before we get into our main topic, we're going to be doing a bit of some updates on our invitational tournament, how we're doing currently so far in that tournament. If you haven't listened to episode 2, please do that first so you'll know what's going on, our teams and all that. And then we're going to talk about some feedback we've been receiving from the community, and then we'll get into our topic for today. So our update on the tournaments, I'll start off just to give some people a quick update on it, or a quick, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. Anyways, a quick, what's going
rundown?
on. So, yeah, there you go. Thank you.
Rundown, Kim?
A little rundown of the invitational tournament. And I'm going to apologize now. I am a little under the weather, so if you hear some sniffles, I'll try to not be so loud over the sniffles. But so Jocelyn and I got invited to the invitational tournament, which is run by Chris and Rob Game Room. So that's placing top 4, or if you're already in the top 4, they kind of go down the list and you get placed that way. There's 16 players. It's a double elimination tournament, and it's a 2-team. So you bring 2 teams, win with both teams to move on. And double elimination. Now Jocelyn knows what that is.
Thanks to last episode, Kim.
Yes. So
where we couldn't remember the word punctuation, but you could explain to me what a double elimination tournament was.
So if once you lose twice, you're out. Okay, so you have to either keep winning on the winning side of the bracket, or if you lose once, you try to keep winning on the lose side of the bracket. So to give some folks some updates on how I did, I'm going to say I did because I'm out of the tournament now. In round 1, I played James. He had an infiltrate team, a very sneaky infiltrate team that I learned a trick or 2 from that team, and I'll explain what that trick is. And I want to say, I think it was unblockable Poxwalker. When it attacks alone, it's unblockable. So I was paired with those 2 teams against my Orion nasty team, as Jocelyn calls it.
Nasty team.
It didn't get nasty though. I'm sorry. And my unblockable Robin team. So game 1, first game, I actually won with my unblockable Robin team. He was playing his infiltrate team, but he wasn't doing it. He said he never played with infiltrate team before, so he wasn't doing it to its full potential, I should say. So I was end up winning that game with unblockable Robin. I had to switch over to Orion team, and he switched to his unblockable Poxwalker team, and that's when things started to go pretty bad. I didn't have to worry about Bishop or Kate Bishop with him. He didn't have them on his teams, so nothing about pushbacks or the non-combat damage stuff. But I don't know what it was, but I wasn't pulling the dice I needed when I needed it, to say that correctly. So Yellow Lantern Ring was the biggest one I needed to get my Orion out, because he's a 7 cost. And I had big entrance, but it wasn't coming the time I needed it. So I actually never ended up buying Orion. And yeah, it was weird. And then, so I had to go Jubilee, which is like my backup to backup. So she does damage when she's fielded. And if you have Absorbing Man, you can do 4. So it's almost the same as Orion, except Orion also, when he attacks, does an extra 2. So I had to resort to Jubilee because it's the only thing I could buy because it was cheap. But then she got stuck in the field. So my when fielded wasn't really working out. But she was my backup, so I had nothing planned to KO her or anything like that. So rolls didn't work out, or what I needed didn't come when I needed. So poor Orion, 2 chances, didn't make it through. So I was kind of sad face about that one. My second round, so now I lost, so I was moved to the losing bracket, which I faced Peter. And funny enough, Peter had almost the exact same teams as James, except he had Bishop and Kate Bishop. So that, in the end, yeah, Kate pretty much did it for me. I think I started off with Orion. Again, same thing happened. I couldn't get the right dice at the right time to buy him. And again, I had to resort to Jubilee. And I was doing good damage because I think he had Bishop on the team I was playing against, which I believe was maybe his infiltrate team. I can't remember. Not infiltrate team. I can't remember. But so that was doing good damage. I had him down to like 6 life. I was at like 12. And then I was like, all right, it's one turn. I could do this with Jubilee. But then he had Danny, Moonstar, Doom Lance, and took me for pretty much 10 life. And then I had no field, and he pretty much swung and won that game. I stuck with I switched to Robin because Orion wasn't working out. And he had Kate Bishop on his other team, and I was stuck. I couldn't do anything because he kept pushing Robin back, kept rolling masks, kept holding it back, and I pretty much had no shot on that one. So, I mean, I was kind of disappointed my Orion didn't work out. I kind of pre-tested it during one of the WDA, the weekly Dice Arena Tuesdays, and I won every single game, and I had Orion out and bought like turn 3 or 4. So I don't know what happened or how I did that. I thought I knew. But
was it energy type? Like you couldn't get the type of energy you needed, or not enough energy?
I don't know what it was. Maybe because I had big entrance. I bought big entrance first so it could go in my bag. Then either if I pull big entrance, I'm buying Yellow Lantern Ring for 1 less because it's 4 cost, right? Or it was, if that didn't pull, then I will buy Absorbing Man for full 4. I don't think I had Kree on that team. So that's how it worked out. So in the next pull, if I pulled Yellow Lantern Ring, I'm buying Orion because I've had 3 psychics on Yellow Lantern Ring. Boom, Orion, right? But I found like I was pulling Yellow Lantern Ring and big entrance and rolling a psychic and not enough energy.
Oh.
So it was like I can't pull that and roll a psychic. You know what I mean? Psychic. Because it will cost me 2. So he's 7, let's say 6 with big entrance, and 4 less, that's 2. But when I roll a psychic, I'm in trouble. Right? Or I could go the other way, which is Tiger Claw, but I couldn't roll a mask or whatever it was. So that's the trouble I had. Like I was pulling at the same time, and then I couldn't get it to work.
So the bag control was a little off.
Yeah, for like 3 of the games, which was weird. It happened in all my games, so that's why I arrived. So I'm like, all right, well, I guess I have to go Jubilee way because I can't do anything else. But so I was a little disappointed because I knew it worked really well when I played 3 games, and I was like, yeah, I could do this. And then I tried to follow the exact same steps that I did in those games, and yeah, it didn't work out. It didn't pan out. So.
Well, that sucks, Kim. I'm sorry to hear that.
So I mean, I'm out, but it was fun. You know, I liked being in the invitation.
Just frees you up to record my games.
Yeah, exactly. Which I missed one of them. So.
That's okay. That's okay.
That was my fault, but
honestly, if my games are recorded or not doesn't matter to me, and that's why I don't record my own games. Yeah. Also, I don't like when you have to like focus on flipping the camera and things like that. Yeah. Although I do think we have an overlay now that would prevent that, but that's beyond my technical capabilities. I'm gonna say here.
I'll try. But get back to the infiltrate thing, which I didn't know. So infiltrate team, you know, you can have Black Widow on there that does 2 infiltrate. You can have Cable, which a lot of people use now, that does infiltrate, and when he attacks does extra damage, right, based on his other attackers. Angela, that makes, what does Angela do again? That makes pretty much,
Angela prevents your opponent from blocking infiltrate characters.
Yep. Yeah. And you have some cheap infiltrate characters like 2 cost that you can put. So they put that together with Odin's Fury.
Yep.
Now I did not know this. So Odin's Fury, and this is me not reading a card fully because I just read
Odin's Fury Global reads.
Global, yes. So pay double mask, Once during your turn, you may remove one of your character dice from the field zone until end of turn. I never paid attention to remove one of your character dice from the field zone until end of turn. So technically, it goes out of play.
That's right.
So what they would do is if they have enough damage and they have enough damage to kill you pretty much, and they have double mask, they'll remove Angela from the field and push, because technically everything's unblockable while she's still active. And then once they go to the attack step, take her out, and then all that damage will go through because you can't block. So I never knew that. I had a good education about that from James. We had a good talk about it. I think it may have picked up in the recording. So all our recording from the games are on Dice Masters North on YouTube. So yeah, that was something I learned, and I thought that was pretty sneaky.
It is very sneaky.
Yeah.
It's very sneaky, and I would lie if I told you I hadn't considered that for my own team.
Yeah.
But mostly I just like to do the damage with infiltrate.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my jam.
Yeah, so that got me, because Peter had it too. So as I said, they both had similar teams. So it's a pretty sneaky way of getting around that and pushing your damage, because Cable's already high as it is. He's pretty beefy.
Yeah.
So
especially if you actually buy him.
Yeah, a lot of people use Rachel, right?
Hope Summers.
Hope Summers, but she doesn't get the stats.
No, just the ability.
Yeah, just the ability. So
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, disappointed. Double elimination, you only play 2 games and that's it. But the tournament does go faster though with a double elimination.
Yeah, and the nice part about it is that because it's a bracket, that if you are ahead and your opponent, like who is going to play you next, is already in the bracket because the matches have been recorded, you can go ahead and play, right?
Yeah, because you already know who you're playing.
You know who you're playing. You're not waiting for a round of Swiss to finish, because it says right there, okay, you're going to play this person. You're the next person in line, so they're the next hill you have to climb.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I've been doing, is climbing some hills. So I started the tournament playing Comics Mike, and I went 1 and 2 with Comics Mike. So he had a team that's basically designed to mess with you. It's an X-Men team, and he's got Sunfire that reduces damage to all X-Men by 2. He has Bishop to prevent non-combat damage, Hope Summers to copy stuff, Jean Grey that, what does she do? When she's active, when an opposing character die is fielded, you deal damage to that die based on Jean Grey's level. So if you get Jean Grey on level 3, if your opponent has dice that have less than a 3 defense, they're immediately KO'd. So yeah, and Mimic for removal, and then his plan was basically to use Super Rare Jubilee from the X-Men First Class set. When you field sidekicks, deal damage to your opponent, and in the meantime, he was just taking turns copying things with Hope Summers, depending on what he needed at the time. So there was that team that he played, and then his other team was quite a nasty team. I thought your Orion team was bad, Kim, but this team Comics Mike has put together,
I didn't even get to see my nastiness.
It's pretty intense here. It's really around getting Black Canary in the field so that villains can't block, and then making everything villains with Danger Room. And then he's got Owlman on there, which is a card I wasn't familiar with. It's a super rare from the Batman set. Owlman, I own this city. It says, while Owlman is active, your villain character dice get +1A and +1D. And when he attacks, they get an additional +1A and a +1D. And then you throw on a Kree Captain, and he's got a Fist Fixer, and there's Instant War for sidekicks. So yeah, it's a pretty nasty team when it goes off. So I won a game, he won a game, and then the third game he took with that team. So I was dropped down to the losers bracket at that point. And then I played our fellow DM Norther Jordo, who was playing a Turtles team. So he went almost full Turtles on his team. And he just could not get the Turtles to fire. And I managed to take that match 2-0.
Did he have the one that makes them unblockable with what's his name again?
One of the Turtles. Michelangelo, Raphael.
No, it's not a turtle. He has the turtle turtle affiliation, but makes your turtles unblockable when he's active.
Is it Metalhead?
Yeah, that's it. Is that what his goal was?
He had Metalhead, and his goal was to get to Metalhead, but he was having trouble with energy types, and turtles are expensive, right?
So you need the turtle power or something.
Yeah, they're all 5 cost. So he was going for April to make his turtles cheaper, and then he was going for, I want to say it's Raphael first that also has turtle power to make it cheaper again. But he just wasn't getting things going, and unfortunately my team was KOing his stuff, and it was faster, and there was some poor rolls in there as well. So I won the first game, and then I switched teams, and he stayed with the turtles, and I won the second game as well. So I went 2-0 against our fellow DM Norther Jordo, and now Jordo is also out of the tournament. Sorry, Matt. Apologies.
Come join me in the crying booth.
Sorry, not sorry. And and then I moved on to round 3, which I just played yesterday at the time of this recording. It's Wednesday today, the 11th, and I played yesterday the 10th, and I was matched up against Jezko over in Bratislava in Slovakia. And I played him, and we played 3 really hard-fought games where at any point, any one of those games could have gone either way. However, I did manage to eke out the win with my Orc Knobs in Game 3, which was quite fantastic. It was 22 points in one go.
Really? Wow.
People. Yeah, I had to do, I think it was 3 Orc Knobs to make it happen.
So one-shot kill?
It was a one-shot kill.
Wow. I missed that. I see, this is the recording I missed.
Yeah, so that's okay. They were really good games. We both made some really good plays. I won Game 1. He won Game 2. Game 2 was really hard fought and long. The first game was my Infiltrate team with Angela. And I run the Kree Soldier with Swarm and Infiltrate. And then I use Hope Summers to copy Cable. And if I can get a couple of Kree in the field with Angela and Hope Summers, 1 Hope Summers is good, 2 Hope Summers is even better, because when attacks abilities trigger per die. So you can do her ability, which would be Cable's ability, which is when Cable attacks, he deals 1 additional damage for each other non-sidekick character die that attacked that turn. So if I attack with an Angela and 2 Kree soldiers and a Hope/Cable, I do 4 infiltrate damage because Angela's active, and then do an additional 3 because there's 3 other non-Hope Cable dice that attacked. If I had 2 Hope Cables, then I would do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 infiltrate plus 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 9, 5, 10, 11, 12, 13. I could do 13 damage in a turn if I had 2 Hope/Cables, 2 Kree soldiers, and an Angela. So, but it takes a little bit of doing to get that many Hopes out. So anyway, so I managed to win with that, and then I had to play the Orc Knobs twice. The first time it didn't quite go around. I thought I had it, but Peter Jezko was playing Atlantis with the Psychic Global, so once I would fire off my Seething Corruption and KO my Grey Hunter, dealing 1 damage across the board, I had to pass priority to him again, and he would be able to field Sidekick to block. So that game was really, really teetery, the middle game, and it was could have gone either way, and eventually he took it. And then Game 3, we switched, and he went to his other team. And again, it was one of those, it came down to 1 roll on either side. He had, I don't remember exactly what it was that he had, but it was quite challenging. So anyway, but it was good, and so now I've completed my round 3, and I'm waiting for the results of the other round 3 matches. I will be playing either the winner of it's James or Joe. So I'm playing all these J people. Yeshko, Jordo, I'm Jay Balmy, and now I'm either going to play Joe or I'm going to play James. So it's like the J bracket, I guess. So yeah, so that's where I'm at in the tournament.
She's still in it.
Still in it. I'm in it longer than I expected it to be. I figured I would have been out a round ago. I figured Turtles would have killed me.
Turtles is a good team once it gets going. It's just hard to set it up. A longer time to set it up.
So my first match, Kim recorded. You can find it on the Dice Masters North YouTube channel. My second match, Jordo streamed on Twitch, and I believe he will be converting it to YouTube at some point. But you can currently see it on our Twitch channel. You go to twitch.tv/DiceMastersNorth.
Yes, we have a Twitch channel now.
We're taking over the world. So that's the plan. World domination by the Canadian Double and Dice team. So, and the Dice Masters North team. That's my plan anyway. Isn't it yours?
Yes.
So.
What's the Pinky and the Brain? What they always say? Try to always take over the world or something.
World domination.
Something like that.
Yeah.
What we do every day, try to take over the world.
That's right. All right, so you want to hear some feedback, Kim?
I do. How are we doing, Jocelyn?
We're doing pretty good. So our first episode has been out in the wild for approximately 2 weeks at the time we were recording this. And we've had some really great feedback in general in various platforms. So we now have our podcast posted. It's of course posted on our server, which is Buzzsprout. We're posting each episode on our DM-North website, dm-north.com. There's an embedded player in each article announcement. We're also on most major podcast networks, including Apple iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, whatever the Google one's called. Some that I've never heard of, like Castbox and Pocket Casts and all kinds of things, because once you're on Apple, you just filter it to these podcast players that you have to be in the know, I guess, to know about. So we've had some feedback on YouTube, we've had some feedback on Facebook, we've had some feedback on Discord, and I want to start with our very first ever official email. That's where you put the drum roll in. There you go. Our very first ever official email. So we got an email on our tripledpodcast at dm-north.com email address, where you can send us feedback too if you'd like. And our very first email came from someone, if you are part of the Dice Masters community in the US, you may know this gentleman. His name is Craig Hubner, and I met Craig at Worlds last year in Memphis, and he's a really nice guy. Probably one of the nicest guys that I've talked to, and certainly his email is very, very pleasant, and I've had a really good exchange with him over email here. Craig is a great Dice Masters player, and I'm not sure exactly where he's from, somewhere sort of central US, I believe. And yeah, so he sent us an email, and he did make top 8 at Worlds. So yeah, pretty good player. So I wanted to share a little bit of some of the email exchange that Craig and I had about the podcast. And it was specifically from our first podcast episode, our introduction, and the email was titled, Podcast 1 was very nice. And I wanted to call out that he said to us, it was really nice to listen to your first podcast. As a truly heartfelt casual player that gets forced to play in tournaments, it is really cool to hear about playing the game for the real fun of playing the game. I do want to hear your perspectives on playing the game, because you two have perspectives I feel I have no idea about. It struck me when you two talked about meeting for the first time to play, and Jocelyn, you shared a truth about going to play with an unknown person that probability-wise would be a guy. I have never even come close to thinking about going to play a game like that, and that is something I should consider. there would be so many of us that should hear from a person about what it is like to be playing a game where there aren't many people like her. So I'm glad that Craig wrote to us and, shared his thoughts. And, I'm glad that what we're saying is resonating with people.
Thanks, Craig, for sending that email and the feedback. We really do appreciate it.
Yeah, he's also made some suggestions about, if we were going to have guests on our podcast, who we might want to include as guests. And I'm going to keep those, on the DL right now as we're
in the vault
to some people to coordinate that in the future. So thanks, Craig, and it was great to hear from you, and I hope that you continue to stay in touch, and I hope that you continue to enjoy the podcast. So that was really great. We've also had some feedback from various other places, so I'm going to share a couple of the short blurbs that we got off of our Discord. So if you're not on the Dice Masters online Discord channel, you can find a link to that on the dm-north.com website under community, and please join us there where we have a lot of chat about Dice Masters, and there's a podcast section, and there's other games where Kim is catching all of the shiny Pokemon from. So lots of different things you can talk about.
My other love, right?
Yeah. So from our first episode, I got a message from Chazkaz on Discord. He said, so stoked for more content from Jocelyn and Kim. Great intro show. Looking forward to my commutes to work when they drop. So thanks Chazkaz, for sharing your thoughts with us. We also heard from Comics Mike on Discord. He said, thank you, Kim and Jocelyn, for your new podcast. I'm enjoying it. Everyone should give it a listen. So appreciate that. That's awesome, and thank you for recommending it. We got something on Facebook under the Dice Masters Unlimited Facebook group from Stu Dickinson, who also is known as Stu Art, who does fantastic alt art blank Dice Masters cards. And he says, more Dice Masters audio-based goodness. So thanks, Stu. That's awesome. We also got a little bit of constructive criticism, which is good. We want to hear all of it, and that was really around our audio quality. Specifically, I think it's my audio quality of my microphone. And I do appreciate that. We are very new at this, and we're looking into ways to make it better. So bear with us. We're going to figure it out. But thank you for providing that. And if anyone has any suggestions about how I can improve my audio quality with my existing equipment, I would love to hear them. So please send us an email at tripledpodcast@dm-north.com or reach out to me on Discord. That would be fantastic. Also, I'm just going to jump in here and say a couple of other things that we heard directly from our DM-North website. We heard from James that says, I look forward for the next episode. Thanks for sharing. That's on our first introductory episode. We got from Arj from Rollin' Thunder, no apostrophe, no D, no G, rollandthunder.xyz, and they're a fellow podcaster over there on the left coast. Says, congratulations on getting your first one in the books. He says, at our scene, we always try to make everybody feel as welcome as possible, but nothing sells inclusivity quite as well as actually hearing about the game from some of our awesome underrepresented people in our community. Looking forward to listening as I throw back a cup. I hope your podcast helps encourage more women to come out and roll at local scenes across the globe. So we've had some good feedback, and we've actually, do you know how many continents we are on, Kim? Did you look at any of our Buzzsprout stats?
I did not. I only saw the one email that said you got 50 playbacks. So
awesome.
Yeah, but no, I did not look at the stats.
So we have been played in Europe, in North America, and in Australia.
Who is in Australia?
I do not know, but there is someone listening to us out there.
Nice. I know there's players out there.
Yeah. So thank you for listening. Thank you for downloading the episode and sharing with us. Our first episode at the time of recording here, it's been listened to 58 times, and only one of that was me. And our second episode, which just dropped a couple of days ago before we recorded this, so it's 3 days old at this point, has already been downloaded 29 times. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. We're in the double-digit listener group. I don't know how that compares to our friends over at the Ministry of Dice or at rollandthunder.xyz, but I feel pretty good about that.
And I know when I was speaking to Joe from Chris and Rob Game Room during our weekly Dice Arena game, he also enjoying the podcast as well. So it's good to hear all the good feedback, and we appreciate it. And even as Jocelyn said, the constructive stuff, we definitely want to hear it. So
yeah, so reach out to us, stay in touch, and you can reach us on Discord, you can reach us on Facebook, you can comment on YouTube, you can comment on what's the other place? Like on your most recent, your preferred podcast platform. Give us a rating, iTunes, 5 stars, add a comment. That would be great too. I think we actually do have a couple of 5-star ratings on iTunes, and I think we have a comment as well. So if I pull that up really quickly, this is something that I'm not doing right now while we're talking.
While you're pulling it up, though, I mean, it's coming up. It's just taking it, slow. Just in case anybody doesn't know, our Discord names. It's not Kim and Jocelyn. So if anybody actually just want to PM us privately or anything like that, I'm Super K in Discord, and Jocelyn is
Jbaum. So JBOWME.
Just in case anybody did not know.
Yeah, so that's where you can
we are there.
So we do have a comment on Apple iTunes / Apple Podcasts that says, "Go Canada. Really nice to see more Dice Masters content out there." We have 2 5-star ratings already. So thank you to those of you that have created those ratings and provided comments and are sharing this with your local players. And we're really excited to be doing this. And we're glad that you're listening. And like we said, please feel free to reach out to us and provide suggestions or comments. We'd love to hear them.
Oh. Awesome.
So should we maybe talk about our actual
topic? Jinx, you owe me a coffee.
I'm already drinking one. Aren't you?
I should probably be drinking a tea for this cold, right?
It is a double at dice.
Yeah, our actual topic today. We're going to touch on a couple of keywords out of new sets. Just 2 of them, chat about them a little bit, how they came about for us to even chat about it. So I will start with one that comes from the Trouble in Waterdeep campaign box. I believe it comes from. Well, it's the Spark keyword, and that one I used for the first time in a game, and was so excited about it because one card I used it was on Intellect Devour, and Spark on that says deal 1 damage to target opponent. So a little, paper cut damages that you could do here and there. And Spark ability, how it triggers, and this is read from the card itself. It says Spark abilities trigger when you roll an asterisk or double asterisk on a die. I'm like, oh, well then let's put some, action dice on a team. Good chance you can roll, an asterisk or a double asterisk on it, and you're going to be dealing 1 damage per die. Pretty much, paper cut damage. So I gave it a go, and I put it on a team, and I was playing it. I think I was playing it in weekly Dice Arena on Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. on Twitch. And
twitch.tv/Final Ross Battle.
That's it. That's his name. It's actually not called. It's not actually Weekly Dice Arena is the thing. But and I can't really remember if I was playing against Nick or Dan. I can't remember which one, or maybe I'm pretty sure it was one of them. So I had rolled like a couple action dice, both on burst, and I'm like, oh, okay, my Spark character is out there. There's 2 damage to you. All right, take the 2. We move on. Happens again, and then we're like, wait, I don't think you're supposed to actually take 2 damage for each action die that rolled on a burst. So I was just like, really? But it reads spark ability trigger when you roll it, right? So here's what all the conversation came about, how spark actually works, how it's written differently in 3 different places.
And before you get too far into that, Kim, what is the spark ability? Is it different based on each card with spark, or is it the same on every card?
It's only written out on 1 card.
No, but like as far as like what the actual ability is. So spark is like awaken, right? So when you spin a die up, for example, an effect takes place, but not every awaken effect is the same, right? Just like spark, not every spark effect is the same.
Oh, right, yeah. There's different spark abilities, yes.
Yeah. So like spark is a trigger.
Yes.
And then the ability is actually different.
Yeah. So it's based on rolling an asterisk or double asterisk, but the ability could be deal 1 damage. Another one is spin a character down a level.
I think there's one where you get to use a global ability for free.
Yeah, there's a few. Search your bag for a die and prep it. Let's see what else we have here. Deal 1 damage to target opposing character or target opponent. So there's a couple of different ones. Gain a life. But yeah, so different ability, but how you trigger it is based on an asterisk or double asterisk on a
die.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, but that's not the case. So as I learned, which I got kind of disappointed about that, is that's not actually how it works. So on the card it reads, again, spark ability trigger when you roll an asterisk or a double asterisk face on a die. Now in the rule book, this is the rule book you get in the campaign box, reads differently, which is when you roll the die and it shows a single or double burst, activate this character's spark ability. Again, me reading this thinking multiple action die, I do the damage. Now on Dice Master's keywords page,
the WizKids.com
WizKids, yep.
Keywords page, yeah, the official source,
reads differently as well and says, while a character with a spark ability is active, if you roll a burst face on 1 or more dice, use the spark ability at the end of the current step. During the roll and re-roll step, only check at the end of the step. So now, almost reads the same, but the difference here is when it says if you roll a burst face on 1 or more dice. So that's just saying it only happens once, no matter how many die you roll that has a asterisk or a burst or a double burst on it.
Right. So it's not quite as powerful as you first thought it was.
No. And as you may or may not know, but the WizKids, official WizKids website keywords page pretty much is the correct or is supersedes everything. So it will go against the rule book and what's written on the card. Whatever's written on the keywords page is what it is. So that's the ruling that you have to go with on the spark ability. Sorry. And yeah, I was a little disappointed. And I know in our Discord, in our Dice DM North, it was also brought up. So that would kind of made me, hey, let's talk about spark keyword today. And Gord, who's also on Dice Master Nerd, wrote an article about it as well.
Son of L.
Yes, Son of L. So, sorry. So he wrote about an article on it as well. And yeah, I mean, it's still a good ability, but the only thing is it only triggers once.
Well, it triggers once per step.
Yeah.
So I think that's the key there, is that it's once per step. So you can do it in your roll and reroll step. You can do it in your main step. You can do it, I guess your roll and reroll step and your main step is the same thing, right? End of the roll and reroll. No, I think that would be a separate step.
No,
roll and
yeah,
reroll,
separate, yeah.
Main step, and then if you can find a way to roll something in attack step. So for example, if you were using a parallax global, if you're playing golden, you could roll a die in your attack step, potentially. I think there's a couple of other ways you can roll dice in your attack step, but they're pretty slim.
Yeah, because it says current step, which could be any step, and it also says your end of your roll and reroll step. So you're right, it could happen any other time.
Yeah, so you could potentially do it if you can figure out how to do it in your attack step, you could do it 4 times per turn. But again, only on your own turn, because you can only roll dice on your own turn.
Right.
Mostly. Although I think there are some cards that your opponent has you pull and roll dice, potentially.
Yeah.
So.
And you have to roll it, so you can't fix it, let's say. It does say you roll, so you can't fix it to another face or something like that, because I know there's a card out there that you can. But no, you actually have to roll it on the burst and end with it on the burst on your reroll every step. So
yeah.
So yeah, I know that brought up some conversations, and people may or may not know, right? So it's definitely one that it seems cool, but it's not so cool anymore. But I'll still use it. I still think it's an easy paper cutter if you need to do something and deal 1 damage and anything like that. I still enjoy playing with it. I haven't played with it since in a while. I haven't even touched that set really much in a while, but since WWE came out. So
how many characters have the spark ability?
Spark, there is, I will count it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
So 11 characters?
Yeah, from the Waterdeep set, the new Waterdeep set.
Okay. So there's 11 characters. Each one of them has a slightly different ability.
Yep.
And I think that there are options there. I know that one where you get to use a global ability for free, that's pretty handy. Right? Yep. So I know our fellow DM Norther CCM quadruple 07 Laurier there wrote an article recently, and he was using that free global ability with, I think it's one of the ones from the new WWE set where you have to pay 4. And he was using, he paired that with Spark. So check out that article if you want, because 4 cost global is quite expensive. Or if you think about the 6 cost Hella global, I think on the rare Hella from the Mighty Thor set, it's an expensive global, right? But if you get to use that global for free just by rolling a die on a burst face, maybe it's worth it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so Son of L talks about it in his rule school. And CCM, I think, did it as a, what have you played article, correct?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. So yeah, check those out.
Well, I think it's more useful than the keyword I want to talk about.
But you can only do it once.
Per step.
Spark, but I mean, you can't do like multiple and roll like 5 fast burst and do 5 times. But
and I think originally a lot of people were looking at that, but I think also, I think if you take a step back and you look at this from a more logical perspective, it would be very overpowered if it was every die that rolled first face.
Pretty much, yeah.
Right? So it might be the right ruling to do it this way, but it's certainly less shenanigan-y, and the Dice Mastery players do like their shenanigans.
They do. They definitely do.
So I want to talk about a keyword that I was really excited about, and I still can't figure out how to make it work. So I'm hoping that our listenership can help me figure out how to make this cool. And it's from the Warhammer 40k set, and it's frag. It's not range, because we know how to make range cool. It's called Venerable Dreadlock. And it's overdone. I want to make frag cool. So let's talk a little bit about frag. Frag was released in the Warhammer 40k set and the 2 team packs that came along with that. And I'm going to read you what frag says on the keywords page. So frag says, when a character die with frag attacks and KOs 1 or more blocking character dice with combat damage, deal 1 damage to all opposing character dice that didn't block this turn before damage is cleared. So, there's a lot of qualifiers in that statement, Kim. First off, the character die with frag has to attack.
Yep.
So this isn't going to trigger when he blocks, only when he's attacking. So that means he's only going to do that on your own step. Then he has to KO 1 or more blocking character dice with combat damage. So your opponent could just, I don't know, block it with something with a big D that it can't get ahead of or whatever like that. Mm-hmm. So you might never even be able to trigger this keyword. But I still think it's cool, and I want to figure out how to make it work. So if we look at the cards that have frag, there are 7 cards that have frag, all from the Warhammer 40k set. And they range in cost from a 2-cost mask to an 8-cost fist. And, attack stats range from, a 2 attack all the way up to a 9 attack, depending on which die you're looking at, which character. And I really do like all of the names in Warhammer because they're so hard to say. And I don't know any Warhammer 40k lore, so I'm always very confused. However, there's some pretty cool abilities in there, and I've been using a lot of Warhammer stuff lately. So, I don't know. I don't know how to make frag work. I feel like you need to pick one of these expensive frag folks, like maybe Stompa, Mechanical God. He has Overcrush and frag, and he's a 176-287-299. So you're pretty much guaranteed to KO something. And then you could maybe pair it with a force block. If you pair it with a force block and you attacked with the Stompa, and then your opponent has to block with, say, a sidekick, the sidekick would get KO'd, right? And then the overcrush damage from Stompa would go through.
Yeah.
And then all of the other dice would take 1 damage, so maybe if you put, a Seething Corruption in play, which is a basic action also from Warhammer, that when the 1 damage hits all the other dice, they would automatically be KO'd because of Seething Corruption, because they took a damage. But then the question is, then your opponent just has to roll a whole bunch of dice next turn. So how does that help you, right?
Yeah, I was thinking the force attack to make them force block.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then your opponent has to roll everything next turn, and I guess we do play a dice game, so there is a certain level of chance when it comes to this with rolling. Sometimes you roll the dice and they don't roll character faces back. But is it just not as cool as I want it to be? Is that what's going on here? Is there a way to make it work? I'm talking to you, Jackalope Span. Nick W. You are the king of shenanigans. How can I make this work? I'm talking to you, Tabasco Rogue, Joe Vega from Chris and Rob's Game Room, with all your shenanigan-y type things. Or anyone else who's got cool, weird builder's brains that can help me put this together. Because I feel like there's something fun here, but I can't figure out how to make it work.
It's not actually considered a when attacks, right? Ability?
No, it's a keyword.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, keywords are different than attacks.
Yeah, other than force blocking, you need probably multiple frag characters out there. Because 1 damage may not do much to a lot of characters, right? But if you can do 2 or 3...
Is there something that when dice are KO'd, they go to the use pile? Like, I know that would happen with certain things. Like, I'm thinking there's that Danny Moonstar, which that's when they block her, they get re-rolled, and then if they roll energy, they go to the use pile. So that's not KOing.
I thought there was something that does that.
I don't know. Maybe there is. I don't know. I haven't been able to find it, but I feel like somewhere, somehow, there's some way to make this work that we just haven't figured out yet, and I want it to be really cool. So if you have an idea, send us an email at tripledpodcast@dm-north.com, because I would love to hear it, and I would love to talk about it and figure it out how we can make this really, really cool.
And it's the opposing die that has to be KO'd, right?
Well, the character die with frag has to attack and KO a blocking character die.
That die has to KO a blocking character die. Okay.
So, I mean, you could take a cheap one and pump it up, right? Yeah. Like there's this 2-cost Primaris Intercessor Versatile, who's a 2/3/4 attack, and if you had a buff, like whether it's Excessive Ordnance, which is a bolt, and you add bolts to the character, then they get higher A, which will, more likely attack, KO something, or the Hulk global, for example, use a fist to pump somebody up, something like that. You can pump up the A, you can make that happen, but I just can't figure it out. I feel like the forced block is part of it, but then you're just giving your opponent all these dice to roll next turn.
Yeah, but they might not roll it back. So
yeah, it's
and you still have your characters in the field.
Maybe this is my orbital strike, Kim.
How to make it work.
How to make
efficiently.
Frag work. You've been working on getting orbital strike to work. You're very, very close. You've made it work in some cases, but maybe this is my orbital strike. It's the frag keyword. I want it to work, because this may be the only Warhammer set we ever get. Right? So the second Warhammer set was canceled, and I just want frag to be cool.
So are you making a frag team for our local then this week?
Oh, I don't know. I'll throw some cards together and roll some dice. But I want to make frag work, and I don't quite know how to do it. So if you've got some ideas on how we can make frag cool, please reach out.
There you go.
So
this was the topic for another day, though. But it was funny because I was just looking at the keywords page. What in the world is gate?
Gate's an old keyword.
Okay, so it's not from any of the new sets, right?
No, when you look at the keywords page, after the keyword is described, it has a description. And so gate came from D&D Dice Masters Set 2. So that would be from Faerun Under Siege.
One of them, yeah. Starter set.
Whichever one was second. I don't know if it was Battle for Faerun or Faerun Under Siege. I feel like, logically, it would be Faerun Under Siege. But I didn't play back then, so I'm not sure. But that's where that one came from. The Dungeons and Dragons Dice Masters 2. Right? And that's why if you look at Frag, it says Warhammer, WH, DM, Dice Masters 1, the first set. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know anything about Gate.
Yeah, I was like, what is that? Like, did I miss a keyword or something? But
so
we'll do some more keywords down the road. Yeah.
I don't have any idea about, so yeah. But yeah, so Kim, Spark isn't quite as cool as you thought.
No.
I'm pretty sure Frag
throw it on, but yeah.
I'm pretty sure Frag isn't as cool as I want it to be. But
Could be.
I'm gonna play with it anyway. Maybe we can figure something out. Maybe the hive mind of the Dice Masters players that are listening to this podcast, all 58, hopefully plus of them, 57 if you don't count me. Maybe we can come up with something to make.
There you go. Maybe you're just putting out a contest out there.
Yeah.
Who could build the best frag team?
Well, I think that sounds like a great idea, Kim. We should do that. Send us your frag teams with your Dice Coalition team links at tripledpodcast@dm-north.com. And we'll take a look at them and see what we can do with them. Mm-hmm. We'll say golden. Bring it all.
Oh, golden. Wow. That's unleashing a lot of stuff.
Well, I mean, if you want to make something cool work that only has 7 cards, you've got to give lots of options. So if you want to make it modern, that's pretty cool. But yeah, so think about it. If you have a frag team, share it with us. And we'll talk about it on a future episode. And I think that's all we've got for today, right, Kim?
Yeah, I mean, you can hear some more keywords from us in future episodes, but we thought maybe we could discuss ones that came up or very interested in. So
yeah. So thank you for listening. Thank you for joining us today and having a bit of a chat with us about keywords, about tournaments, and about the feedback we've received. Please continue to reach out to us through tripledpodcast@dm-north.com. You can find us on Facebook at Dice Masters North. And our webpage, dm-north.com, and we've got YouTube, Dice Masters North, and twitch.tv/Dice Masters North. Did I get them all?
I think so.
Fantastic. Well, everyone have a great night. Thanks for listening.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.